Okay, for topic or module number 7, no, advanced cryptography. In the Philippines, no, as our presenter mentioned, SSL and TLS encryption is mandatory for e-commerce platforms, no. Online banking and government e-services such as PhilHealth Members Portal and BIRs at EFPS, no. The DICT and National Privacy Commission or NPC require encrypted connections to protect citizens' personal data under the Data Privacy Act, RA 10173. Philippine banks like BDO and BPI deploy TLS 1.3 for faster handshake and stronger encryption, ensuring a secure online transactions and protecting against man-in-the-middle attacks common in public Wi-Fi. Imagine that in environments. How about elliptic curve cryptography or the ECC? Elliptic curve cryptography is gaining traction for mobile banking apps. Take note of that. Now, and fintech startups because it provides strong security with smaller case sizes. So important for smartphones with limited processing power. So GCash and Maya are moving toward ECC-based public key infrastructure to improve transaction speed without sacrificing security. So a critical factor as mobile payments dominate in a country with over 80% smartphone penetration. So we have, of course, quantum resistance algorithm. The DICT National Cybersecurity Plans encourage research on post-quantum cryptography for to future-proof national infrastructure. While quantum attacks remain theoretical, universities like UP Diliman and Ateneo de Manila are collaborating in cryptographic research to protect long-term government archives and land registries. Now, module number 8 talk about network security fundamentals, firewalls and IDS and IPS. The government agencies and BPO companies deploy next-generation firewalls and intrusion detection prevention system or IDS. IDS again stands for intrusion detection. IPS that is focused on intrusion prevention system to counter frequent phishing and ransom attacks. So the National Computer Emergency Response Team provide guidelines now for configuring these systems to protect critical networks like power grids and transportation system. For the secure protocol, Philippine ISPs now or in enterprises enforce secure protocols such as HTTPS, SFTP, and DNSSEC to protect data in transit. Let's say, for example, the data or the Department of Education uses secure protocols to safeguard student records transmitted between regional offices and the central servers. We are also heard about VPN or virtual private network and remote access security. So with the rise of remote work and hybrid classes, now virtual private network usage surge, no? So companies employ enterprise virtual private networks with multi-factor authentication to protect against data encryption. So the DICT advised LGUs in small businesses to avoid free consumer VPNs and instead adopt IPsec or SSL VPN with strict access control. Module 9 focus on secure system and software architecture. So we are familiar with SDLC, no? The Secure Software Development Lifecycle. So Philippine software industries, especially those serving global clients, integrate secure coding practices from the planning stage. So banks comply with Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Circular 808, requiring vulnerability assessment and secure system and software architecture, no, and secure SDLC at the same time to protect online banking platforms. We heard, of course, DevSecOps, no, or Development Security Ops, no, operations. So many BPOs and fintech firms are adopting DevSecOps to embed securities check in continuous integration, continuous deployment pipelines. No, startups in the Philippine Silicon Valley, no, in Iloilo, in Cebu, tech hubs, leverage automated security testing tools to catch vulnerabilities before deployment, balancing speed and safety in their apps. We have zero trust architecture. So right now, the ICT advocates zero trust for government network to counter insider threats and sophisticated cyber attacks. No? So agencies like PILSES, the Rational ID, apply never trust, always verify. No? Take note of it. Never trust, always verify principles using identity-based segmentation and continuous monitoring to protect sensitive national database. Module 10, the last topic that that our presenter mentioned or discussed is about access control mechanism. Role-based and attribute-based access control or RBAC is a common in hospitals and universities to ensure only authorized staff can access medical records or academic data. So attribute-based access control or ABAC is used by government portals with where dynamic conditions like location or device determine access to sensitive records. I've always mentioned about multi-factor authentication of the MFA. Bank and e-wallets like GCash mandate MFA using one-time password and biometrics to meet BSP cybersecurity regulations. So government portals such as eGov.ph or .ph also implement multi-factor authentication to reduce unauthorized access, especially for service handling national IDs and tax records. We have identity and access management or IAM. No? Large BPO companies in our country and universities deploy in identity and access management to streamline user provisioning and deprovisioning. No? This is critical in the Philippines, no? Higher turnover industries, ensuring that former employees lost access immediately and preventing insider data breaches. So the advance or the topics 7 to 10 demonstrate how the Philippines aligns global best practices with local regulations such as the Data Privacy Act of 2012, Cyber Prevention Act of 2012, and the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas circulars. So from quantum resistant research to zero trust architecture, both government and private sectors are strengthening information assurance and security to protect a rapidly digitizing economy against evolving cyber threats. Okay, so I think that's it for today. So may I request everyone to please turn